But of course, we do know that a lot is happening with regards to the box turn. We'll give you a glimpse of what's expected to happen in just a moment. But as you may have already heard as well, the Social Relief of Distress grant has as well been extended for another year. And this was announced by Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana in his midterm budget speech. Numerous concerns have been raised about the grant, including whether it's enough and where government will get the money. A study by the Centre for Social Development in Africa at the University of Johannesburg found that phasing out the grant would have a devastating impact on many poor households. So let's talk more about this with Professor Lauren Graham from the UJ, that's the University of Johannesburg, and she joins me, of course, this morning for this conversation. Thanks, Prof, for your time, and a very warm good morning to you. Now, of course, we know that the Finance Minister mentioned that the social grant would be extended for another year, but let's talk about, I suppose, as a starting point, the significance on the social grant to the many poor South Africans in this country.
Thank you for having me and good morning. Yes, the grant is a crucial mechanism for so many poor households, given that we have such a high structural unemployment issue. So our unemployment issue is because of the nature of our economy. It is not because people do not want to work, which is what we call a structural unemployment problem. And our unemployment rates, as you know, are particularly high. And what the grant does is it provides an income safety net for poor households. For the first time, when we introduced the COVID SRD grant, people of working age were eligible to receive that grant. Previously, our grant system had reached people who were outside of the labour market, so children, older people, people with disabilities who were unable to work. And this is a crucial form of providing food security or contributing to food security and cushioning effects for very vulnerable households.
Also, I mean, had the minister not extended the social grant, what were the consequences of this decision to the many South Africans that depended on the grant? And I'm asking this, had he not extended that social grant?
Look, I think we can speculate about what the political consequences of that would be. From our research, what's really important to note is how that grant is used and what the impact of that grant being removed would be. So we know, for instance, that the grant is used primarily for food security. It's used primarily to buy food and basic necessities in the household. So it's not being used in negative ways. And if we look at our rates of food insecurity, indicators like stunting amongst children, we have very high rates of food insecurity and stunting in South Africa for a middle income country, and those would potentially have got worse. What we've also seen in our research is that the grant often gets used for other livelihood activities. So a small portion of the grant would go towards perhaps informal trading or transport to get to an informal job. We know that approximately 40 to 45% of child support grant caregiver recipients are employed in the informal sector, either in wage employment or in self-employment. And this boost of the grant allows informal traders to smooth their businesses, ensuring that they're not borrowing from food in the household to stock, or they're not having to make those choices, and that it has some stimulus effects in the local economy. We're starting to see that. So these are all really important mechanisms for not just for food security and livelihoods, but potentially if we can do longer term research to see how these grants actually stimulate particularly local businesses, township economies, etc.
Absolutely. But on a more personal note, are the grants themselves enough? Are they enough?
Look, I think if we only look at the grants, then the value of the grants, particularly the SRD and the child support grants, are very low. They come in at well below our food poverty line. And so taken on their own, they're insufficient to meet even just your basic caloric needs for an individual. But what we need to take into account is that our social welfare system is broader than our grants. So we do have our grants, and they're a crucial backbone of our social welfare system. But we also have programs like our EPWP and Community Works program and the Presidential Employment Stimulus, where people can access work opportunities that bring in additional income. And then, of course, we have informal grants, so where people are receiving remittances from family members or friends or other kinds of contacts. So, and then, of course, we have our National School Nutrition Program. We have fee-free schooling and those sorts of things which make up our social wage package. And taken together, these are all really important contributing factors to alleviating the effects of poverty.
Well, we have to leave it there, Prof. And I appreciate you speaking to us about this. Thank you so much for your time and joining us right here on Newslink. So much to really think about and ponder on with regards to the social grant. Professor Lauren Graham from the University of Johannesburg, thank you for joining us right here on Newslink.